Hey guys, I'm back, and with me, another speed art. This one is of the ever-changing Halley and Quinzel, who I covered in an evolution video on my main channel many months ago. So I want to finally rank up all the different versions of Harley Quinn from worst to best. So without much jibber jabber, let's jump into it. But first, I want to thank Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Most as if you're watching this, you're probably interested in animation or illustration. So Skillshare is the perfect place to start really honing in on your creativity. I highly recommend Shaban Tomi's class on character animation, which uses Adobe Animate, the same program I use, and I actually watched through this class and was able to streamline some of my own work. It goes through the whole process of creating characters and animation from beginning to end, so it'd be a great place to start as a beginner or brush up on your skills as a semi-professional. Skillshare has so many classes on topics like photography, filmmaking, graphic design, or even cooking, and there are new premium classes added every week. So, the first 1,000 people to use the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. But let's get back to the video. And in dead last is going to be her initial DC Superhero Girls version. Now her outfit here is hardly a costume, and she's way too much of a good guy in this series. And while I appreciate that this show exists for younger female viewers, I'm not really the target audience, so I don't want to stomp all over this for too much longer, so I'll keep moving. Coming in at number 15 is another show that was too afraid to actually give her any actual costume. Birds of Prey 2002. For the most part, Harley doesn't really wear any sort of suit for the bulk of this series, and when she finally does, it's pretty lame. While I appreciate the diamonds in her chest window as a nod to her former suit, this mostly just looks like a bad cosplay. Even though she is played rather competently by Mia Sara, the show just kinda collapses under its own weight. Sliding in at number 14 is her look in Batman vs. TMNT. Now her main look is mostly based on her 1992 animated series costume, but when she turns into a hyena, I just lose interest in her role here. While it's cool seeing her transform, for the most part it just feels like an Elseworld version of her character rather than an actual interesting take, so I can't really put it any higher than this. So moving on. At number 13, and I hate to do this because I really do like this show for its throwback nature, but it's gonna be Batman the Brave and the Bold's Harley Quinn. This version of Harley really misses the mark. Basically, if you haven't watched this series, it's sort of a throwback to the campier Batman days, like the Adam West show, but because Harley Quinn didn't really exist back then, they just sort of made her into like a 50s flapper girl, rather than a jester-like character that she usually is, and while I like that they tried something new, it just doesn't really work for me. Number 12 is gonna have to go to her appearance in Batman Assault on Arkham. And while I like the dark tone of this movie, and I'm glad DC isn't afraid to release animations intended for adults, I think this Harley looks a little too strange in her outfit. Her hat especially looks off to me. Maybe it's too large or floppy, but there's just something not quite right here. And it just kinda takes me out of her whole part of this movie. And coming in just above her Arkham look at number 11 is her DC animated movie universe look, which is a pretty big improvement over the latter, but seems like it's trying to please both fans of the 2016 movie and fans of her original look, and it misses the mark with both, although I do like the animation style much better in these films, so that's why it's ranking in above Assault on Arkham. Coming in 10th place is her look in the second version of DC Superhero Girls. Now this is mostly a throwback to her 1992 outfit, but I do like the more stylized illustrative look, and she actually is able to be a more full-on villain here, so it actually works better as a series. Slotting in at number 9 is going to be the Batman 2004 TV series look. It's mostly a more exaggerated take on her 1992 look, and I think it works for the most part, and the show is much more than the original series, so this costuming works for that. Although I'm not a huge fan of her backstory in this series, but sometimes you gotta take a little bit of the good with a little bit of the bad. Coming in 8th place, and I really don't know if I should include it here, but it's gonna be Gotham's Echo. She's basically that show's Harley Quinn, and for the most part does a pretty good job at filling that void, and her final outfit for the show works pretty well, while paying homage to the character as we know her, and also making her different from Harley, as she is definitely more deranged, but I think Francesca Root Dodson plays the role pretty well. Slurping up 7th place is gonna be Batman Ninja's Harley. And as far as the characters who got steampunk redesigns for this film, I think Harley made out pretty well. The added ruffles work for her jester look, and the purple and red color scheme is actually pretty nice. So I actually think this is a pretty interesting take on the character. Coming in 6th place is her first live-action movie appearance as portrayed by Margot Robbie, and while I am a red-blooded male and like the costume here, it really feels like it was a costume designed by someone just wanting to see a skimpy suit. But I think Margot Robbie plays the role pretty well, utilizing her sexuality to her advantage advantage, but it just doesn't really make much sense for her to dress up this way and then go into battle against a demon army, like put on some armor or something. Although this is ranked somewhat higher because I really do like Margot's performance here. In 5th place, it's gonna be her Gods and Monsters appearance. This is another version that was most odds designed by a male, but I do like that her face is tattooed white, and the red and black hair and lingerie look work pretty well for how deranged this Harley Quinn is supposed to be. Like, I'm pretty sure it's implied that she's like a murderer in this short, which is a really dark take on the character, but I'm glad they were willing to do something a little bit different. It does make the video a bit more interesting, especially when you're trying to do like an evolution of her character. Coming in 4th place is going to be Margot Robbie's second take on the character for Birds of Prey. She gets to be the lead here, and I think having her dress more flamboyantly works pretty well for this version of Harley. And while she shows off skin, it definitely isn't nearly as male-gazy as her first appearance, instead having her outfits work with her rather than making them something to gawk at. So I really do enjoy this portrayal of her character here, and I actually kind of really like this movie, so if you haven't seen Birds of Prey, do check it out. If you saw like some hate on it from online, do not listen to them. It's actually a really tight action movie. And let's get into the top 3. Before I go any further, let me know your favorite versions of Harley Quinn below. I'd love to see your thoughts. And coming at number 3 for me is going to be her own animated series version. And for the same reason that Birds of Prey works well, this take on the character also allows her to dress in a more promiscuous way, but it doesn't feel like the character is overdoing it and the outfit feels justified for her. And at the same time, this is her own show, so you really get to see what makes her tick and develop as the show goes on. So this is a high recommend for me as well. The runner-up for this ranking is going to be Harley Quinn's portrayal in the latest Suicide Squad movie from 2021. We get 2 main looks for her here, both a combat-ready suit and a red dress look, both of which make sense inside this movie, and I really think we get some of the best scenes with Harley here. You can really tell that Margot Robbie is getting comfortable with the character, both with how the action scenes look and how she is able to play the character with both heart and comedy. Plus, this movie freaking rules. If you guys have not seen this, do check it out, and then also check out the Peacemaker series. But coming in 1st place has to be her portrayal in the 1992 animated series. This is really the version that started it all. She was really supposed to be just a one-off sidekick to the Joker, but this portrayal and the design resonated with so many people that she came back for more episodes and spin-offs and got a comic debut, and it's grown to the character that we all know today. It's really outstanding how far she has come, and for that reason, this is placed at number 1. So that's my ranking of all the on-screen Harley Quinns, and if you haven't seen the animation I did on my main channel, check that out on Tell It Animated, and I can tell from the comments on that video that a lot of you guys appreciated that I included so many of the animated versions, so that has paved the way for me to cover characters like Venom and so many other characters coming up that I've been wanting to cover but just didn't have enough live action appearances to warrant a full video. So thank you all for all your support over there, and don't forget to check out Skillshare with my link below to help out the channel. And before I sign off, I want to thank Ryan Redmond for recently pledging to the Patreon. Cheers to you, and until next time, I've been Aaron, and I'll tell you something later.